Here we have the panel, and we have actually one more participant, Nikola, who is not on the slide, but yeah, we're just gonna hear about the 3D and VFX industry in Serbia and hear about like struggles and success, because I think probably these will end up being like universal problems, and hopefully we can think together as a 3D community to help improve your daily lives and keep sanity. So you already did introductions for everybody else but yourself. So Nikola, maybe if you can talk about you.
Nikola Damjanov, for those who don't know, I've been working in Nordeus, like homegrown, local grown gaming company for the last 10 years. I started basically as a 3D generalist, kind of moved through projects and ranks and all bunch of things. Picked up a lot of procedural tools along the way, Designer, and eventually, of course, Houdini. And right now, for the last maybe even more than a year, I've been leading like a small in-house research and development team that focuses on using like modern tools and approaches on both like redefining how we make things, how we like do production for our games, and also like what do we need to do to kind of future-proof ourselves for next projects, like trying to stay ahead of the curve using tech art.
So the point of this array of people is just to cover the range of like production scale. So we have Igor, who is a freelancer, one-man band. We have Doca, who is kind of medium boutique shop. Then we have Bogdan, who is at a studio, and also equally maybe or bigger Nordeus game studio. So I have a few notes topics that we're gonna discuss. So let's start with Igor, your most recent project. We want to just hear like for everybody what your latest projects were. So let's start with you.
So my last project.
Just yell.
So my last project was Love, Deaths and Robots. So I did with the Blur Studio almost entire water pipeline back then. So all the shots that you see for the Badlands Travel, I think that's the proper name. I did like all the water scenes. So I mean all the water scenes I done at home, doing the problem that I was facing as a freelance, and this is something that I'm kind of facing for the last 15 years. First is that our internet, maybe seems fast, but soon as you start working overseas, everything starts become really slow. And one good thing when you're doing heavy FX sim is that you can enjoy for that. You just press a button and wait 1 hour, 5 hours, maybe a few days. So sometimes internet, even if it can be the problem for FX sims, can you save your time a bit? The biggest problem was that sometimes, for the low latency or all these problems, that sometimes internet, it's really slow to get feedback. I was have luxury that sometimes when you're working freelance, you don't have, is that working for the big production companies, you cannot take the assets, work, and take the files and do stuff at home. Especially if you work for Marvel, Disney, Netflix, you cannot touch anything. So everything is on their server, so you can just log in on their machine and do the work. But sometimes, depending who is the client, you have luxury actually to do stuff on your side. So you can take amazing assets that they produce and do simulation at your home. But then there is other problems is that you need to have proper support for that. So sometimes freelance artists need to invest, especially if you are doing heavy fluid sims, you need to invest a lot of money in your hardware. And nowadays, hardware is, let's say, cheaper. Not like, 10 or 15 years ago where buying new machine was for heavy fluid sims was kind of a lot of money you need to spend. Now, even if you buy a machine that is like, let's say, 10 years old or 5 years old, you can still do the heavy fluid sims. And
can we actually know like what your home config is?
So I have 3 machines with 120 gigs of memory, dual Xeons that I think now 8 years old, and they are still producing amazing stuff. So it's not about the machine, it's almost like what you can do. The thing is now that, let's say 20 years ago, heavy fluid seems like, water, ocean creature coming out. Only the big guys can do it, especially because of the hardware support. So, stuff that you see from the Scanline, ILM, Veta, DNEG, and other studios, especially because back then these sims can take 1 day, 5 days, even longer. Now you can do at home. So whatever you can, now it's almost like you don't have a limit. Even if that simulation take ages, it's still your work. So my advice for everyone who's willing to try heavy fluid sims, just try it. Don't think, yeah, this is take long, I will not be able to do it. That's something that my idea like 15 years ago when Naiad was old solver, now it's Bifrost. When they came out, they kind of opened the road for the freelance artists, because I think that when they developed Naya, only Veta ILM had a chance to use it. No one from the freelancer world, and I was the guy who sent, I will be honest, but maybe 100 emails to the guy who developed Naiad. Can I try? And it was like constant 2 months, and they was maybe pissed off at the end. Okay, just try it. Okay, here you. And the good thing, I knew Houdini a bit, so opening Naiad was pretty easy. And this is how my World of Water effect started. Just taking the Naiad, I did demo in 2 days and impressed the developers. And back then, there was the first, I think, first heavy water effects movie in Serbia. That was 2009, something like that. Shark Night. I mean, it's a B movie, but still, the water effects in that movie was quite amazing. And this is kind of proved me that even I did like few hero shots. We spent that was a funny story. We spent 7 months doing 120 frames slow motion. And Sims took like, back then it was, I think the iteration to show to the client was like 1 or maybe even 2 weeks, because sim time for the high res was 4 days, I think, something like that. So back then it was really slow. Any mistake cost you money. And any mistake that client or director, can we change this or that, they need that, it's going to cost. Now that all this is a lot faster, so all this iteration is now a lot easier, and machines are a lot powerful, and something that you think that only big guys can do it, now it's in your hand. So everything that big guys can do, you can do now at home. I mean, the only difference that they have is money and a lot of people to finish it, polish it, but that you have power to show that your skills, because if you just focus, in my case, on water sims, you can really show what you can do. So there is no, something that will stop you. The only thing, you need to find amazing assets so everything look nice, instead of using Sphere, find some creature, or beg your friend who is doing animation, can you animate something for me? Even buying him a lunch because they don't want. So now you can promote yourself. The only things now that is happening all over the world is that there is so many amazing artists. They have power. They know they can do amazing stuff at home. So you need to be the guy that you are going to stand up in that amazing crowd of people. So promoting yourself, helping others, someone will recognize you. Even if you don't do, even right people like, supervisors, 5 minutes. Right people, supervisors will, even when you show them the previews, they know what they are going to see, and they know what they want. But helping others in community, sharing knowledge, this is what I'm doing for the last 15 years. I'm also the co-owner of Rebel School. So helping others, that's, I mean, our industry is really small. So people will recognize you. They will point to you, okay, this guy is really good. Not just, doing what he's doing, but also helping others, helping me. He helped me to grow or something like that. So try to promote yourself and try just to be different. Even if you see that everyone are doing the same test, try to be different. And this is what will help you to stand up in the crowd and get your job a lot easier. And now you can do whatever you want. So
Okay, we'll have to skip to the next topic. None of you can talk about your recent projects. No, I'm kidding. Please.
Hello, I'm Doca. I'm the owner of digital asset Tailors and basically the generalist over there. We are a small studio of, let's say, 6 or 7 people. Occasionally we work with freelancers, a lot of freelancers, and basically all the freelancers are the modelers or lighting artists. So we're quite small studio. From what we did in the last time was several commercials. One is for the Nikola, for the Japan. The other, I can't remember anymore. We did the opening sequence for the upcoming World Cup in football in Qatar, and a lot of asset works. That's one of the scopes of our studio. We do a lot of assets works for different studios, bigger studios. So that's in general what we do. Now, what usual problems that we're facing is, how to say, overlapping jobs, because as the corona started, something happened, and that is the amount of the jobs rise, and we expected a lot lower amount of jobs, but actually we got more and more jobs as the corona started. And what is usually happening is in small studio, if you overlap the same kind of a job, let's say you accept to work on a few commercials, then in a small studio you have to have several people that are doing a problem solving. So in our studio there is me and Ivan, and that's basically all of people that are capable to solve the problems that are not strictly department related, like modeling or lighting or texturing. Those are in some kind of the jobs that are coming at the beginning of the projects, and later you are jumping in a much harder and demanding process of solving different kind of problems, of effects, or clients tends to ask for all kinds of demands, as you know. So when you're such small studio, usually the biggest problem is several projects with the same type of not type of problems, but none of the problems are the same, of course. But if you have to solve some effects or some abstract movement or something like that, Houdini is very nice for that. You have only several people, in our case, 2 people that can solve those problems, and that's something that we trying to solve, and we do it. But that's usually what is the problem for us. And of course, the community in Serbia is not that big, so it is hard to find a freelancer that is free for certain job to solve the problems for you. You can find some type of people, but not all the kinds of people you need. So I hope that young people will get interested in this industry and invest their time to become better and help us. That's all from me for now.
Okay. So you saw our recent project, so that's
The commercial one. Let's talk about like commercial.
so right now we are working on one really big project, which is we have renders that are 18K, and it's for one museum in New York. That is everything I can say about it. It's like 15,000 frames, 18K, and it's really massive. And hopefully next CGA, Milos, our colleague here, will will tell you what he did on that project, because he did a lot of tasks there. And what I'm proud is the fact that he came in our studio like a year ago, and now he's doing like DNA strands simulations, flocking of the animals, and a lot of stuff. So that's our current project. Only one thing, and I will not take long. So when Igor was doing these simulations for Shark Night in 2009, I was comper in Crater, and we hated him because when he puts sim on the farm, whole network would stop. Basically, we could do nothing. So in Nuke, we couldn't load the file. So that is the thing, you know, like big companies like Weta, ILM, they have really good infrastructure that allows them to, you know, to support this kind of stuff. On your own, it's a little bit harder to do this kind of stuff. Okay.
On the unnamed project where you are doing a lot of rendering work, this is done like locally, or you're working on the cloud, sending the stuff to the farm?
We are using some of the cloud services.
Okay.
And some locally.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Karma XPU, as I said, really saved us a lot of time there. And for the other stuff, we are using Arnold mostly.
Okay, thank you. Nikola?
Okay, so my recent project, my recent Nordeus project that I can talk about was the most recent one that my team dealt with was actually the release of 3D Line Match inside Top 11, our flagship game. It's basically like a 3D football simulation on a mobile game. For my team, like the biggest problems were like on different parts of the pipe. Some were like very production oriented, in a sense that it's football. You have like a bunch of players, and especially you have a bunch of stadiums that you need to produce. So we did a lot of tooling, a lot of production around that, and then especially a lot of kind of trickery and like magic things in order to kind of prepare all those assets and optimize them, because we are dealing with mobile devices. Some of them are like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. So having the ability to like literally on a click to create assets to cover like most of the mobile stuff, that's pretty cool. Other side of the problems, challenges that we face is then, for example, when production is more tightly connected to, for example, game design, because sometimes game design is directly kind of influencing what you need to do and how things actually look. And when you're like in development cycle of a game, the game design can be like, let's call it a fluid thing. It can change very, very rapidly. And having like pipelines and procedures to keep the production flexible, those kind of changes was a lifesaver more than once. And then the other parts of my team was more on the tooling side, because we are kind of trying to have every team completely enabled to produce their own stuff. So we have this kind of let's say like marketing department that needs to produce a lot of jerseys and whatnot. So we help them like create actual like mini tools so they can like design any kind of journey that they football jersey that they imagine, and then just like literally on a click push that even on the game side and on the store side and on maybe on the marketing front side and stuff like that.
I didn't ask it earlier, but can you guys mention each like roughly the size of the company? Doca? Well, okay, we can skip Igor. Yeah.
Sorry. 6 or 7 people.
Okay.
Occasionally more
More
with
or less.
freelancers, but in general 6 or 7 people. Now currently 7.
Okay. Creator studio is.
I have to count.
Well,
Maybe, right now maybe it's 15, but we vary like from 15 to 20.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so entire Nordeus is around almost 200 people now. Among that, artists, maybe 30, 35-ish, if I'm not mistaken. My team is currently 3, and that's it.
Okay. Cool. Just for context. So the next topic is most memorable failure or lessons learned. Keep it just a little bit.
So the biggest thing, when I started was that project Shark Night. So, when I start like testing Naiad, I was kind of thinking, I have a tool, now I can do all. But actually, it's not. When you start doing some heavy FX stuff, you sometimes learn that it's not all in your hand. Sometimes you don't have any like how to say, like anything that you can do that is going to like you. You are going to like your stuff because the client is at the end who want to look like that, and it's kind of you kind of over time you understand that you need to listen to everyone. Sometimes you become, when you are new guy, you kind of stubborn. I know all. I don't care about comments. You don't know nothing. I know all. So it's becoming that you are, for example, your ego is kind of hitting the roof, and your ego in a few days just drop down because you need to listen other people's. So at the end, it is that, it was kind of for me failure that, I was thinking that I can do all, but at the end, a lot of senior artists or FX supervisor kind of teach me how I can look the stuff and how I can learn from them to actually accept the feedback, comments from the clients, from the supervisor, so that at the end I become, better artist. So, but the first thing was when you are single guy and you get a great tool, I know all, I'm the best guy, but you've really fast learn that it's not like that. But as soon as you realize this kind of thing, it's a lot easier for you, and you can proceed in your work a lot easier. Still, you need to accept that there are people that know more than you. Maybe they're not in that field, like you are doing water effects, but they have better eyes than you. They know how the shot is going to look at the end. So soon as you are at the same, at the same level of communication with them, it's going to be easier for both sides.
I was expecting something much more juicier than just safe advice. Okay.
Well, for me, the biggest failure is falling in love with the client. I know what you think. No, not that way. You have a situation when you like the project, and you have you're on the same frequency with the client, and you invest too much time in the project, and you love it, and you cannot move from the project, and then your partner in the company says, "Come on, man, we have another job to do. Go on, leave it." That's something that occasionally happens to me, because I'm some of the times talking with the clients on an artistic level. We are developing some shots or some effects, and that can produce some bad children.
Interesting.
Okay. Because we are all nerds and we like to, to do some VEX coding and not to be disturbed by anyone. And because I work in small studio, and like Doca and Ivan, I'm responsible for like running the job and also solving technical problems. sometimes it happens that I get so like obsessed with solving some stuff that I totally forget about some people in the team, and I think that this like that thing cost us like some really good people that left because you cannot multiply. But we are really like the problem here in Serbia because we are all small studios. For me, it's really hard to delegate tasks and to to how to say delegate tasks in a way that would help other artists grow, and that of course takes time. But like the worst thing you can do as supervisor is overprotect your team. So, for example, whenever there is a problem, you go and solve it yourself. That could lead to burnout, and that eventually, dangers the projects. So, I think we need, as a supervisors, as a people who are running these companies, we really need to, develop some better ways in order to help artists grow, and that we need one like middle layer of the artists, and I think no studio in Serbia has like this kind of hierarchy, and yeah, that's something to improve.
Okay, maybe the two biggest lessons I learned in the last let's say a year. One is don't impress people too much. But hear me out. So, what happens if you impress people too much who are not used to seeing cool shit all the time? It can quickly change the narrative around, and you stop talking. And the discussion moves from what is the problem that we are solving to what other cool things that we can do. Mm-hmm. So you get sidetracked really easily. That's love. Yeah, there you go. That's one thing I suggest you not to do. Second failure of mine personally was I was a bit overconfident at a certain point, and it's quite easy to get overconfident when you're dealing like with cool thing. So what happened? Like, I can share maybe like a short story. So we were like producing this 3D line match, and it's like a new feature that we added to the game, but we had all these like, because Top 11 is an 11-year-old game. So we have like 11 years of legacy like assets inside of the game that had to be in a way like presented in this new like 3D manifestation of the match. Especially because like a lot of players invested their time, money, and effort, and they're pretty much like in love with the stuff they have in the game. So one of the big things that we were like discussing how to transfer was like all the legacy designs of the jersey that people had in the game. And I went completely like 100%, 1000% overconfident, like because everybody else were like very much busy with like actually designing the 3D match. I said like no, I'll do it on the side. I'll find a way how we can like take this like 16 by 16 icons that we have inside of the game, so we can now have like full blown like textures and renders for the new shop and whatnot. And I'm like a talkative people, like I can like hype other people very, very easily. So I went like around the company, and then I hyped some like machine learning AI friends. I hyped some my like development friends, and I literally kind of gathered around like a posse around me of like maybe 6-7 people. And like AI guys like did this whole new like machine learning system that would like take a look at all the like previous store renders that we have, and then like calculate what's is like the primary and secondary color for every jersey, and that went through like 5,000 jerseys or whatnot. With this whole new thing where we will like try to decide what is the so we created this new batch of handmade patterns for the jerseys for the 3D line match. Then they built another machine learning system that would kind of look at all those thousands of jerseys that we have in the game and try to with computer vision find the perfect match to the pattern. So it's just like this whole huge effort, and in all this time I'm thinking of doing something like cool and valuable, and then in the end what happened is that like the game design, even like somewhere on the beginning of my overhypeness, decided that oh no, we're not going to transfer any of that. We're just going to go with the new stuff. Why are you even like wasting that time? Like, what did you do? Like, who spent time on this? I was like, no, just me. like trying to hide everybody else behind me. So yeah, overconfidence and maybe just like community. Even when you want to do something cool and to show to everybody, at least make sure that like the most important stakeholders are kind of at least informed, so you have all the important data before making big decisions.
Okay, Mr. Cheerleader. All right. The next topic is where things are headed. Now that we covered some, like, let's say, hard lessons. What are some positive things? Like, let's talk about maybe COVID. Like, Doca, you mentioned that there was like an influx of more projects. Like, what are some good things that happened in Serbia? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, one of the, let's say, biggest thing that happened that was pre-COVID stage was kind of, let's say, impossible. And, even if the COVID, yeah, it's really bad thing, it's really bring us a lot of good thing in VFX, is that finally big studios open for remote guys, and that, let's say, big clients like Netflix, Disney, Marvel, and other one, Amazon, that they finally saw that, if they want to have jobs done, they need to allow a certain degree that some stuff can be done from home, remote or however. So one good thing now that even in Serbia, something that, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago, to go to work in a big studio, the biggest problem was working visa, especially, let's say, if you want to go to work at VETA. I think the back then procedure was 7 to 8 months even to get working visa, and then so it's almost like entire year you need to prepare to go to work at VETA on amazing project. Now there is people working for VETA from Serbia, because of the COVID, now remote work is possible everywhere. So now if you really stand up, like I said before, stand up in that crowd, you can get you can get job really easy to work on the big blasters for the biggest company in the world without moving your home. So that is the one of the biggest thing that is happening now. And there is also the problems that the guys have is that now the artists finally saw that they don't need to work now in the studios like, that or Creator or Nordeus. Now they can sit at home, eating chips in underwear and work on the blockbuster movie. They don't need to travel. So
you
that
have a
is
dirty keyboard.
or yeah, not go there. But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest thing that is happening now. Yeah, for us in Serbia, that we finally have that we can get that piece of cake finally without all the problems that we were facing before. Traveling, working visa, and all these nightmares, interviews. Now it's like push of the button, you can work for any big company or for any big project.
What to say after you? Oh, well, I agree absolutely with Igor about everything, and that's almost everything I would also say. One thing regarding the overconfidence, Nikola mentioned a little time before. Now, when there is so much opportunity to work remotely and to take some freelance job, I think that's a good opportunity to do overconfident and to try some jobs for like a freelancer, or even if you failure, you're in a good position now. So try to do, and that's a good experience at the beginning. Sometimes you can hardly get the cherry on a cake piece of a job in a studio. So you have to take a good opportunity and to have a little bit of a courage to stand up and to stand in front of other people, not to fight, but to take some opportunity, even if with a failure. In a studio, the seniors and responsible people will probably notice after day or two that you're going to fail, and they will have some backup, I'm sure.
Okay. Good things that are happening that go along with the thing that many of you can now work for big companies is for us that's good because maybe you need that kind of experience in order to grow as an artist, and we have really good experiences with a couple of our good friends who go on, let's say, work in Veta and then or Frame Store, and then they return here to Belgrade, and every time they carry with them some of the knowledge. So that's how we got our first pipeline. For example, Marco was writing our first pipeline and then suggested to move to Shotgun, and basically he saw how it was in Veta and other studios and basically copied this kind of stuff. The good thing now that I see, for example, we had 5 years ago we had at some point we had 15 compers, and then there is the rest of the crew was 3D. Now we have 3 compers, and these compers these people left to other studios in Belgrade. And why that is good? Because people are circling around the studios in Belgrade, and potentially we could at some point, because we are not losing people, they are not going abroad. Potentially we could work on the projects. More Serbian studios work on the same project, and especially there is no Serbian VFX studio that's greater than 30 people. I don't know. So I really think that is the next direction we should move on. And for example, we have really with some of the studios we have really we collaborate on the projects. We all collaborate with Take One and Cool Beans, but yeah, that should be next step. And the other thing is we are since we have a creator school for more than 10 years now, and I think more than 500 people went through that school. I see now that, for example, in universities there is a lot of VFX, gaming, animation, what is the English word for that? Courses, yeah, that are being opened. So basically, even that state bureaucracy is opening to our industry. They basically, yeah, slowly, but yeah. So yeah, for example, when Igor and me started, it was 2000 and let's say 6, 7, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so there was only one VFX school in Serbia. It was called Chiron. It was run by Peđa Bakić and Igor, and I think whole class that attended, all the guys that went to that course, and girls, Anna was also there, yeah. They all either have their own studios, or all of them are some TDs, supervisors in some of the major studios in the world. So in terms of education, what we didn't achieve in Creator, for example, what Chiron had, they had 1 year program, or in that 1 year you learn 3D. In second year you learn effects, and in third year you learn compositing, or was it something like that? So all of our schools right now are 3 months courses, and you cannot learn craft in 3 months. So 1 year it's better, but 3 year full university course would be the best. So that, if that happens, we would have a lot of good generalists.
Okay, so I'll focus my sentiment on more on the gaming side of the industry. I think that gaming in Serbia has maybe left the terrible tools. We kind of grown up. And I think that COVID kind of accelerated something which I think is a good thing. I don't necessarily personally like it that much, but I can see like this influx of big studios coming in, acquiring smaller studios. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's like the industry as a whole will grow a lot from it. And not only that, because like when the industry starts growing, when you have all these big studios coming in, bringing like very cool IPs, that means that people will want to stay to work here. That means that we will need more people in the future. And it means that education will be, at one point, needs to be addressed. And then a whole, like everything around it, every satellite of the core industry will, at one point, need to be improved in order for everything to grow. And we have been like this area has been like recognized as a very solid talent pool. We have been for quite some time for like development. I think that recently we've been also like put on a map for a creative side as well, which is again an excellent thing. What I also like is that with all this corona and remote work, which is awesome, like being able as an artist to have that option. I also see a nice, like, let's call it a redistribution of power, in a sense that I can noticing like trends of compensation being more leveled on a world scale, because now I can sit in Belgrade and work for a company that pays way more than maybe somebody local will. So like the competition of the market is now maybe a little bit more swayed for artists, in my experience. So like a lot of good things happening, and of course like this entire thing around like. Like 5 years ago, we had maybe like a couple of like very indie studios here in Belgrade, and now we have like Ubisoft here, we have like Embracer Group, we have like Play Studios, we have Take-Two, all these big names coming here, and we have also see like CGA and everything around like SGA as well, like local communities growing and supporting this industry, and it's only gonna get better for us.
Sounds very up and up. The next point. So, it's actually last topic. It's a general wish list. Like, what if you could have a wish granted? What would that be?
For me, I had many opportunity to, even now, if there is like 10 FX guys here, I can find a new job immediately for the next 5 years, but there is not. So the problem in the Serbia at the moment is that I think the thing is now back, let's say 5 years ago, there was a problem to find a job. Even if you are a really good talented guy to work in a studio, maybe there are already filled spots. So for you, it was kind of, okay, I need to build a reel, I need to do this, I need to do that to find a job. Now, job actually wait for you. There is so many jobs out there. Even in Serbia, I think that we can find job for, let's say, 100 people even now, but it's really lack of the talent. And what I mean about the talent is that, if you are freelancers, you are one-man band, you need to know, let's say, bit more, or you need to be confident that you can do more than what you need to do in a studio. Like the guy said, they will help you. Sometimes the problem can be when you're working remote is that they rely on you that they are not going to, let's say, babysit you. So something that in the studios, the senior guys, the owner can actually help you. Put a hand on the shoulder. Okay, I will guide you how to do some stuff. But in terms of wish list, I think that that actually for me, because I'm doing the, let's say, promotion for myself for the 15 years even now, is that people, the artists, the young guys, try to push themselves. Not just think, okay, I did this and I'm fine, I can go home, but to actually, push yourself, to believe in yourself. To that when someone see you, that he can actually see potential, not like he just see you as a guy that will do the job and yeah, that's it, I will go home, I don't care. So for me it's kind of, there is a lot more opportunity now in Serbia but it's just we miss you guys. There is no talent. I mean, there is not enough people, you know. So if you can push yourself and, you know, show us that you can do or you're willing to learn, we will show you the way, we will find you the job. So for me, you know, for me now, the one thing that is missing, I'm missing like, I don't know, 20 FX artists who can do water. You know, I can open studio even now in Belgrade, but I don't have water FX guys because most of you, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, everyone, but most of you think that, yeah, the water is slow, it's boring, but it's really, you think it's most hardest job, but at some point it can be a really joyful, easy job, like every part, like compositing, modeling, whatever. So for me, the biggest, you know, wish would be that, I mean, we cannot push you guys, you know, we cannot beg you, please learn, please do it. It's all on you. We cannot teach you how to be, you know, aggressive learner. You want to take part of the role, so you need to do yourself. So for me, it's kind of, you know, try to push yourself, you know, at some limit. Don't go burn yourself because then you drink too much rakia, and that's not good. So, you know, try just to push yourself because now your entire road is open, you know, for you. So it's just waiting for you. So if you are happy and willing to learn, there is, you know, now it's more or less like right time, you know, because I'm afraid after the COVID kind of relax, most of the big studios are going to close remote work. Some of them are kind of shifting to hybrid mode. Some of them are kind of don't willing because other problems. So now it's your time to prove that you can do. And if something like that kind of happen, like studios, you know, companies close remote work, there is so many jobs still in Serbia that we can do, even in a games, VFX, whatever you want. There is a jobs. It's just we are lacking people.
I don't have that much wishes. Maybe BMX bike. My father didn't bought me one.
What? What didn't?
BMX bike.
Oh.
But I can speak from perspective of our studio, small studio. We occasionally, I would like to have more generalists, more comp guys, and more animators. That's something that I think in Serbia is lacking, and we need those kind of people here. And from my perspective, the journalist is the most important to help me. So one advice that I could give to the guys and girls that would like to start as to build up as a journalist is to get in fire. And some small studios are good for that, especially studios that are working in advertising, not that much in the movies or something like that. But the advertising is so rapid and so fast, and you burn fast and you learn a lot of fast, and after some time you very fast you grow as an artist, as whatever kind of an artist, even an animator and the compositing artist, journalists. I think that's good. The small studios are good for that, for quick learning and fast rising of an artist. That's all from me.
I understand that it's probably difficult to take on like somebody new and guide them while you're delivering something, but do you guys, any of you guys?
Yes, but
like
I can tell you how I started. I started, I don't know, 15 years ago. There was one studio here, I think that was Helium, right? When I arrived, I knew nothing. I just knew something in the software. They said me, hello, this is, here's the commercial, do it, you have a month. That's all.
I just meant like maybe you guys should consider taking on interns, like as like a moldable soft meet to like format.
Uh,
So that's what I meant. That like while you're doing delivery, like it's probably hard to manage that. But I think
Managing different kind of softwares, if you're asking that.
different what?
Yes, we from my perspective, for the small studio we are, it is hard to have that much
Extra hardware and stuff.
interns because you have to spend the time
Yeah,
with
that's
them.
what I meant.
You have to manage the people. You have to be the HR in some terms to manage all of them, and then the job is suffering. So
Yeah, that's what I meant. But somehow I think that can help the situation to just train people and show them what joys they can have.
of course.
Okay, so Doca stole all my points. Yeah, but regarding interns, so you saw, for example, what our interns
Yeah,
did,
right. Yes.
and the problem that we face, and I said to them openly when they applied for we have like every summer we open like internship, and basically most people here learn how to model something, do texture in substance, and what they don't learn, and that is, like, take this as advice. Don't use substance published to ArtStation button. Do you know what that means? I have notion that people that are like getting through these courses, they create something beautiful, publish on ArtStation, and that's it. No, so you have to put it in some renderer to render it to
Context.
feel how it goes in production, and we provide that. So we involve juniors in our projects, and right now I did a little experiment because they are all asset type people. Rarely we have animators. Animators usually we hire them quickly because there is very few animators in Serbia. But for one of these asset juniors, I gave a task to do some smokes for there was like a train station, so there is some steam in the background, and he did it, and it actually worked. So he's the guy who never did pyro simulations. We gave him some tutorials, and he did it, and he's very happy with, and we are very happy with the result. So it's hard, but it's possible to do this kind of stuff. And as Doca said, here in Serbia, there is really hard to find somebody who knows, for example, how to do a shot. So all of you know how to create assets, or most of you know how to create assets, but many people don't know even what the shot is, what the sequence is, what the camera is, and I can give you advice. So if you want to learn this kind of stuff, watch every lecture that Sava Živković did. So I was amazed with his lecture, like the things he and a really small team of people managed to do is really impressive. And when you see that and you are like behaving like you're working in some state company, I always, when I see what he's doing, I'm always a little bit ashamed of myself. Like, okay, I want to do this kind of stuff. I want to create like my indie films, and I see, for example, in Blender community, that's more common. Like they want to know everything. They want to animate, they want to render it, composite it. So all of these experiences would benefit you a lot. So try not to do assets, because megascans, meta-humans, we will have meta trees now, meta everything. So basically,
Metaverse.
yeah. So think of your work in future, and our work in future will be more, let's arrange stuff and make it interesting. And that's really closer to filmmaking, you know, like when you go on set and see what filmmakers are doing, how they create worlds with, you know, like sets and what they do. Our future is going closer to that direction. So closer to, you know, like kid bashing a lot of stuff and creating interesting scenes.
Okay, Fianna stole all my points. So on a personal level, my big wish currently is that I would really like that we have state-sponsored, whatever sponsored, proper game development incubator, a place where like people can come and spend a lot of time developing their projects with the help of mentors all the time, be constantly advised, learn, and like developed. And that can be then like combined with a lot of like engine work. Like we need this one place that we can all like we need like a Tinker Garage for the whole community, you know. One place we can all gather and go wild. Why? Because I think that we need to improve a lot the situation, especially in gaming, around college hires. College hires, like people with zero actual experience. I think it's still very difficult for them to break into the industry because I think companies here are still more in the growth mindset. So it's very hard to in any way like rationalize the amount of money and people time you spend to actually having an intern and like try to rise them up to the acceptable level. So I'm kind of hoping that having a place like that, which can be connected with both like industry and educational institutions and like forum partners and whatnot, can be some kind of a like a jumpstart platform for people of that level. There are like tries on building something like that here and there with more than like success, but I would like to have like I wish that we had a little bit more holistic approach this time around, if that ever happens.
Can I add? So Epic is right now in Novi Sad. They are creating kind of
Training
something like
center.
that. Yeah. So
My wish came true.
yeah, it's building.
It's a building.
Give us
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah. So, but for example, the thing you said about like connecting maybe with other branches is, for example, in Serbia we have really strong IT sector, way stronger than ours. And for example, I think I heard in Novi Sad there is around 15,000 programmers. And somehow I feel that we don't know each other very well. And you know, like I saw, for example, in Austria, and there are some like collaborations between technical science faculties and like VFX firms or gaming companies, and there, you know, like in machine learning and in this kind of like more IT stuff, you know, we could use like that brain power that there is. It is here in Serbia, but you know, maybe we don't know each other very well, and you know, we could maybe collaborate.
Just go there and infiltrate. Yeah, I think I had a point of like, because I'm coming from software development company, like a wish from that side or of that side, or a wish for us. Wow, my English is going to hell. You know what I mean, like something that you wish, I don't know, SideFX to do. No, not those ones we discussed, like software, like yeah.
Muscle systems.
Okay.
You know the Cascadeur software? I like that kind of animation.
We are aware of this wish. Igor? Nothing? Oh, he's a happy man. Okay.
I wish more SideFX Labs tools for Unity.
For Unity?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, that was it. Let's leave it there. And now we switch to QA. Like, does anybody have questions or comments in the audience? And don't.
Just a question for Bogdan. Can you repeat the name of the guy? You said you learned a lot from him regarding USDs and pipeline regarding
Weissman?
Houdini and USD.
Andreas, Swiss International.
Andreas Swiss.
His name is Andreas. I don't know what is his surname.
Weissman or something.
Yeah, yeah.
He's on YouTube, right?
Yes, just type Swiss International Solaris on YouTube, and you will get. There is a couple of lectures, and there is also Ars Anima. I think it's company from Austria.
I don't actually remember
Ars
this one.
Anima, something like that. Ars Anima. One colleague from ours worked there, and he said that was the best pipeline he ever worked in. And the third, Rise. So, but for the Rise, you see, like when you push good developers into something, what you get. But these two are like, in terms of small studio, what are the things you can implement without too much coding?
Okay. I'll just walk around.
Okay, so you guys mentioned that there is a need for CG generalists, so Doca mentioned that. And you, Bogdan, mentioned that there is not oversaturation, but there is a lot of asset guys, asset people, and not a lot of meta, so higher level compers or shot guys or some stuff like that. So me as a CG generalist, I have most of my pipeline, aside from asset creating in ZBrush, for example, or stuff like that, moved towards Blender mostly because of, it's free. I mean, and aside from my ZBrush license, I don't have to pay for expensive software and licenses as a freelance artist. So now with knowing that, for example, your studio mostly works with Maya, for example, or Houdini, how could I maybe as a freelance artist go into the industry with my Blender knowledge, considering, for example, that USD is slowly gaining traction with cross-platform compatibility, for example. So should I maybe stay within Blender, or should I try to learn one of those softwares like SideFX, Houdini, or like Maya, or sorry, one more thing. You mentioned muscle simulations. I have, like Miloš, biological background in biology. And I've tried doing muscle simulations in Maya, for example, but my lack of Maya knowledge hindered me there. So yeah, that's more on Houdini side of things. So yeah, that's my question. I mean, it's a mouthful. Yeah. Okay. A good answer.
I'll answer that. When you're in some studio that are doing video, it's software agnostic, so you can do that with whatever software you want. So you can stick with a Blender or do compositing Blender. I heard that it has a compositing, whatever. But the main goal is to produce the final shot that looks good. So it doesn't matter what software you use. You have to know the principles of the shot, cinematic principles, the movement, the composition, the lighting, and that is more important than the software you're using. So no matter of the software.
Thank you. Okay, so is Luca here? Yeah. So we have one guy who is our Blender guru, and we always joke with him, but he always has Houdini and Blender open at the same time, and he's like mixing them together always, and I don't mind. So especially for the assets, And what I like about Blender, Cycles is developing so fast. I really like this stuff, and maybe there will be Cycles in Solaris sometime. I heard something like that. I don't know. Yeah, but now with USD we can exchange. We expect to exchange stuff more easily, and yeah. Have you seen, for example, in Tagma, they have a series. They are like Houdini guys, but they have series in which they did some stuff in Houdini and then rendered in Cycles.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so type and Tagma, and yeah. Okay.
So one thing you mentioned about Houdini, like you learn Blender because it's free. Houdini is free also.
For learning, yes, but for using in freelance.
You buy indie license for 200 euros.
Yeah, okay, I haven't.
Okay. So, but the other major thing is that, for example, in a smaller studios, they can adapt if you use Blender. Sometime in a bigger studio, you need to use what they have. So sometime, for me, let's say as a water FX artist, sometime when I work for some studios, there, for example, Maya based studio or Blender based studio, whatever, but they have one Houdini license for FX. But that means that you are one-man band. No one can support you, no one can help you because they are Blender guys, so you are one-man band. So sometimes the really good thing is that before, let's say, joining some studios, you actually learn something about the studio, what they use, what is their pipeline. And if you have an interview, do you guys use Blender? Can I use Blender? They maybe can explain, oh yeah, we use Blender for assets, or we are giving you, let's say, 1 month of transition to our pipeline or something like that. But it's really good thing that you as an artist, especially, let's say if you're a freelance artist, that you explore what they use and that you kind of trying to adapt, easily, because sometimes you will use the tool that no one else use. So it's going to be really hard for you. So you need to kind of know a lot of them, or you see what the industry is using now. Try to learn this kind of tool. Don't use, I don't know, some tools that no one is using just because you like it. But I don't have problem with that part, but if you want to step now, it's kind of Houdini, Maya, Nuke. These are the base tools. So it's better to even know how to use them. You don't need to be amazing artist, but if you know how to use them, it's going to easily open doors. Or instead of I'm just the Blender guys, I don't care. It's just going to shut you doors a lot. So it's kind of try to see what the other studios are using, and also. This is something that I see for the last 15 years with Serbian artists, and for the younger guys, this is like the biggest problem, that half of you don't know how to use Google. Trust me, because soon as you ask me where is that tutorial, where is this or where is that, it's kind of, did you ever try to type something? Like type, so. There is all informations out
Interview
there.
failed.
Yeah, so it's kind of try to, grasp everything that you can, Just don't wait that someone point you to that.
Okay. Igor was my mentor on the first projects, and when I was asking something that can be found on Google, on first page on Google, he would always hit me. And Milos, no, yeah. But when I ask a smart question, then he says, "Okay, let's go and have dinner and think about it." And I get rewarded if I ask something that is not on Google. So that's how I learned it. And your other question for muscles?
Yeah, I mean that was more related to your suggestion to SideFX and Fianna about what would you like to have from them. Yeah. So muscles in Houdini.
We use Ziva.
Yeah, I know.
It's the best tool right now.
But it requires Maya. That was like linked with.
You know what is the problem with Ziva? It's single-threaded, or it maybe it doesn't thread well, so it uses. The guy that's doing muscle sims at our studio, he runs 2 or 3 Mayas with at the same time, because that machine has 128 gigs of RAM, and each Maya uses like half of CPU power. So we did that kind of stuff with different systems.
You mentioned the Ziva being single-threaded, which would imply that Houdini is multi-threaded. Is there any other software, FX software, that is multi-threaded as Houdini is?
Most.
For VFX?
Real Flow is multi-threaded, I'm sure. Yeah, I think in Maya, Pyro or simulation, Bifrost is multi-threaded for sure. And yeah, there are some stuff that maybe it's problematic to multi-thread them. Or Igor yesterday, he told us that there are some problems on multi-threading on 500 core machines.
Yeah, so for example, sometimes flip, for example, film sips, if you buy the best machine out there, it can actually be slower because, sometimes a lot of cores kind of slow it down, because then sometimes it's better to have like 64 core or 128 core maybe, instead of 512 core that I was testing like a few days ago. Yeah, it's amazing machine for rendering, for all of that, but sometimes for flip it's actually, machine with 128 cores was faster, like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15%, but cost half of the money. So at the end, you can buy two machines and become two times faster. So some things are, not so efficiently with multiple amount of cores.
Anyone else?
So talking about the software and Blender, I'd say Blender kind of has everything covered for a young aspiring artist who has no money and wants to get into Blender. Like has everything covered except for the things that Houdini covered. Am I right?
Currently.
We have one friend that's for some reason they require for him to do rigging in Blender, and he's really good rigger in Maya. We all our rigs, we always hire him. He says that it's not that good. So Blender is years away from rigging like in Maya. So that would be another point.
Sorry, can I just add my thoughts about Blender, because I've not. The thing is that Blender is covers a lot of things, like in general, but in each of the points that it does good, it's not the best. So for me, for example, I am sculpting in ZBrush. I had a license for the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm really good at ZBrush. And Blender has sculpting tools, and they are really good, but they are like 60 to 80% there in terms of what ZBrush can do. So I think that most of the things that Blender can do, rigging, for example, you mentioned, it can do it, but it's 60 to 80% there in terms of Maya, what Maya can do. So Blender is free, and that's the big plus, and it's all in one tool, but it isn't the best in each of, jack of all trades and master of none.
I can elaborate for the rigging. For example, animators don't like to have something that's not working real time. And for that, as far as I know, Maya is still on top. So basically, there is something about like evaluation and the speed of that in Maya would work real time, in other softwares will not. Same rig.
Because you every time kind of mention Blender, and it's kind of free, and it's free, and it's free. The most important thing is that, are you working in Blender earning money, or you are using Blender to just learn?
Blender is a part of my pipeline because I own ZBrush license, I own Marvel's Designer for Cloth Sims, because, for example, Blender can do Cloth Sims, but Marvel's Designer is better. But for the most other stuff, if I wanted to have each of the things I generally use from time to time, depending on the project, I would have to pay thousands of dollars to cover it all, and I'm not using it regularly. So in that regard, Blender really covers those.
Okay, so then my next question is, okay, you're using Blender to earn money, okay. So you don't want to invest money anymore into any software. No, I'm just saying, are you buying a new machine? Why? Why you don't buy the old Pentium 1 because it's free? Grab it from the, from the supermarket and don't investing any more money. I mean, the thing is that I'm saying, if you just want to learn, I mean, Autodesk will be maybe angry at me, but we all use crack software. If we want to learn something, yeah, it's out there, I just want to learn to get job in the community, Yeah, that's the guy who is going to beat me later. But, even Houdini, any software, if you want to learn something, don't just, yeah, this is free, and I will just learn that, Houdini is free, even if sometimes you need to invest. If you have, for example, I had a lot of problems for the Rebel school, like our workshops are really expensive, but you bought like $10,000 machine for what? You bought it to sit at home playing video games, or you want to invest? So instead of, kind of going around, yeah, we cannot learn that because that's kind of, the question is what you really want to do. If you want to go to the working in the studios, okay, the studios are kind of splitting the jobs, compositing, modeling, FX. So you kind of learning the current tools that are out there. Autodesk with Bifrost Houdini as his own tool, or Nuke as a single tool now. That's the only one. But it's kind of the question is, if you want to, the thing is, do you want to be your own? I am the freelance artist, and I'm paying the full license for Houdini. So I'm investing myself every year like 5,000 euro for that. But I'm investing for me that all this will come, if 1 year when you charge your work, if you paid the license, just raise your daily rate for that. If you think like Houdini costs 5,000 per year, split it for every day, like 365 days, and put it in your daily rate. So your daily rate will be, instead of 100 euro, 200, 300 euro, maybe 320. No one will notice, but you will pay the license at the end. The only question is, do you want to step into industry with the tools that we are using, or you are just going to use Blender like you are using now?
No more Blender.
Oh. Is that it, everyone? Oh, there's a hand or somebody getting up now. Okay. I think that's it. Then this wraps up the panel.
Fight.
Thanks, everyone.